In a filing in federal court this week, the Justice Department said that when the administration was ordered back in March to stop sending detained migrants to a mega prison in El Salvador, you personally made the final call to continue the flights anyway. Is that correct? Do you acknowledge that?
You know, we have court filings going on and decisions that are going forward. I'll let them continue to play through that process.
But did you make that call?
I'm proud of President Trump and his leadership and the decisions that we have made. And the decisions that are made on deportations, where flights go and when they go, are my decision at the Department of Homeland Security. And we will continue to do the right thing and ensure that dangerous criminals are removed.
So that you're saying that it was your decision. It sounds like the judge wanted to ensure that people were given due process. Did you defy the court's order, Madam Secretary?
No, Kristen. And that's one of the things that we continue to face across this country is activist judges.
You know, Judge Boasberg has been called many things in his storied conservative career as a judge. But an activist judge, never once. Before the Trump administration, in fact, there are a lot of conservatives on the United States Supreme Court that have been extremely close to Judge Boasberg. He ran in conservative circles for decades now. And I don't know, as you know, I'm just a dumb country lawyer. I don't really understand the complicated ways of Washington politics and law, but I do know that sounded a lot like a confession from Kristi Noem when she said they are my decisions and not the decisions of activist judges. One other footnote.
Yeah.
She said, I will continue to do what I need to do to take dangerous criminals out of this country. ProPublica reports that I believe well over half the people that were deported and chained were every bit as dangerous as the young woman, the Babson student, that was seized coming back from visiting her parents.
Who she surprised for Thanksgiving. And was shackled with handcuffs and shackles and sent back to a country where she hasn't been since she was 7 years old. Are those the dangerous criminals, Kristi? Are those the dangerous criminals you're saving us from? And I've just got to say again, as we said at the top of the hour at 6 o'clock, met a wonderful couple. The woman who was very proud to be very MAGA. When Mika asked, well, what about deporting all of these people who haven't committed crimes? And what about arresting Americans and putting them in jail and detaining Americans or detaining people with green cards or ripping babies out of mothers' arms or doing, busting into Montessori's and taking kindergarten teachers out, screaming with screaming masked agents going in with 4, 5, 6-year-olds watching this? What about busting into car lines as people are waiting to pick up their children and dragging mothers out of their cars as they're going to pick up their children? What about that? And the response, we are at war? Who are we at war with? And if there are a few mistakes, so be it.
Yeah, but this is more than a few mistakes. And if we're at war, we are not at war
who we are
with 19-year-old Babson students, with mothers in line picking up their children, with kindergarten teachers at Montessori. No, the administration is at war with the rule of law and common decency. And just go back to that picture of Kristi Noem standing in front of caged men like they were animals. And remember, the reports are that half of those men with their heads shaved, shackled, and put in those cages and enduring the worst of torture, for half of those men had never committed crimes inside the United States. No violent crimes. None. And Kristi Noem, very proud of that. Very proud of that picture. A picture, I promise you, 50 years from now, our children are going to be seeing, when people look back on this era as being every bit as dark
as the McCarthy era. And that picture will be at the front of every textbook. And the question is, at what point does President Trump want to separate himself from this madness, declare war, or declare victory at the southern border, and figure out a peaceful way, a more reasonable, rational way to do this? Because Kristi Noem's way is not working. Look at your poll numbers, Mr. President. Kristi Noem's way is not working. And don't even get us started on what Pete Hegseth is doing to your poll numbers.
Well, we're going to start with that.
Don't even get us started, because Pete Hegseth is destroying your poll numbers right now.
Who
destroying them.
Anyone see that coming?
Yeah, everybody did.
Yeah,
and
even
by the
Republicans who voted for him who felt very pressured to vote for him and didn't want to vote for him.
Well, didn't want to vote for them. And, of course, reports out of the Senate that Joni Ernst ended up voting for him because she feared for her family's safety because of threats that she received for possibly voting against a man who she had every reason in the world to vote against.
Well, he is the man of the moment this morning when it comes to our news. Jonathan Lemire, David Ignatius still with us, and joining the conversation, we have the co-host of the Rest is Politics podcast, the BBC's Katty Kay, MS Now contributor Mike Barnicle, and opinion writer at the New York Times, Mara Gay, is with us.
And before we get to that, Jonathan, really quickly, just to follow up, we told viewers when we had Jim Vandehei, when he was talking about how Republicans in the House now were starting to not quite panic, but are starting to understand that a landslide is coming if they don't adjust quickly. You have similar reporting.
Yeah, I wrote this. We talked last week about the growing isolation that President Trump finds himself in. So I did some reporting last week, wrote about it in a story that just dropped. And it's Republicans really worried that Trump has never before lived in such an echo chamber. A big part of it is he stopped being out in the country. In his first year of his first term in 2017, that fall, he made nearly 24 trips across the country. This October, November, not one outside of his own clubs.
Can I ask you, I'm curious, I still wonder about the lingering impact, and my God, it would impact any of us. 2 assassination attempts, one that came very close, another where a guy was set up, and luckily they stopped the guy before shots were fired. You just wonder how much of an impact that has on him staying inside the White House.
So I've been asking about that. The second attempt was, of course, at his own golf course. He has not stopped golfing. He's still doing that. And even after what happened in Butler, of course, a terrifying moment, he ramped up the rally schedule again that fall and did a lot. And he traveled a little bit at the beginning of this year, but he has stopped. And instead he's stopped having rallies. Well, we knew in rallies he